Meanwhile, in California, in Porter Ranch, which is a community about 25 miles north of Los Angeles, for 3 months now, there has been a massive methane leak from an underground tank of methane that is piped to Porter Ranch from Texas, from the Midwest, from the Rocky Mountains. Methane has been leaking into the air at a rate of almost 1,300 metric tons a day. It has forced the evacuation of about 2,000 homes, the closing of 2 schools, and widespread reports of residents being sickened. Nosebleeds. I mean, who knows what else? This leak became the single biggest source of methane emission in all of California almost overnight. Apparently, it started on October 23rd. Within days, it was already the biggest single source of methane emissions in all of California. According to the Washington Post, when you project this leak out over 20 years, it's equal to the emissions of 6 coal-fired power plants or 7 million cars. It's massive. They don't think they're going to be able to get this under control for at least 2 or 3 months. There has been over 73,000 metric tons of methane gas pumped into the atmosphere. You know that methane gas has up to 80 times the global warming potential of CO2. This is the bridge fuel, folks, that's going to take us from oil to batteries. Everything's going to be fine once we get to solar and wind. In the meantime, we may have, speeding up the rate of global warming significantly because we now have found something even worse for the creation of greenhouse gases than CO2. So now what they're doing apparently is they're digging these big wells and pouring cement down there in the hopes of, I guess, like maybe we'll bump up against the leak somewhere. But think about the implications of this. This isn't like we move out of our house and then in 3 or 4 months after we've destroyed we've seriously poisoned the atmosphere, we move back in. A lot of people were hoping to sell their homes. How many people are interested now in buying a home in Porter Ranch, California? I guess for those who are looking for a house at 80% of the value it represented 2 months ago. And I guess, some conservatives. I guess our buddy Doug, who calls in the fun half of the show, might be looking for something. It's a great value. And I imagine this would be a libertarian paradise, right? As long as we price it in. Unbelievable. It's obviously really dangerous to inhale methane at this point. I don't know if there is an example of like what happens when you put this much methane into the air. And I don't know if at this point you can smell it. I don't know if they've injected that smell of sulfur in there.
I could be wrong about this, but I think they had. I saw that they had.
So at least people have a sense of why they're getting sickened. But again, this is another story. There are attorneys, and I may try and get. I feel like Bobby Kennedy may be involved in this. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I've read that. There is. I guess we should wait until the evidence is in, but I'm willing to bet there were safety precautions that could have been taken by Southern California Gas that would just deem slightly too expensive. So I guess we'll find out about that. But there you have it, folks. So we saved some money.
Keep your mittens to yourself.
This one is another example.
That's a Walter Block moment right there.
This is another example, at least at Porter Ranch, of a company saying, we're going to cut corners or we're not going to spend enough to really, really insure. I mean, we could cut our risks down to 1 in a million. We're willing to live with 1 in 15,000, 1 in 20,000, 1 in 10,000, 1 in 1,500. And when they do that, what they're doing is they're offloading that risk to the people who live in that community. Every single one of those people who had to leave their homes, every single one of those people who have homes within that general vicinity, they have now absorbed that risk in the form of their kids can't go to school anymore. Their homes are worthless now. They can't live in their homes. I imagine if you were to track the trajectory of these people's lives 5, 10, 15, 20 years out, you'd see more divorce. You'd see more depression. You'd see more, you'd see a decrease in earnings, on and on and on. And of course, that was just the risk that SoCal decided on their own. We're going to offload this risk to these people. They don't realize they're taking that risk, but that's what we're going to do. And this is what we see time and time again.